Hi, welcome to Arthur's online autism presentation. I am Arthur Riley and I'm on the autism spectrum. This is the fourth and final presentation sharing many of my autism related obsessions. And before I go any further, I will not mention any names in this presentation. Today I will talk about my later adult years to present. I will start off with my love of organ music when I was living in Las Vegas. I was about 35, 36 at the time. One of the casinos had a pizza parlor with live pipe organ music, which I loved. It reminded me of a place I frequented in Fresno many years before, in a pizza place with live pipe organ music. Back in Las Vegas, I loved it so much. I went there every weekend. I mean, both nights when I wasn't working. I went from opening to closing. So the opening was about 5 o'clock. If I remember correctly, the last number played at 9 or 10 o'clock. Safe to say, I ate a lot of pizza during that time. I was so obsessed. I mean, gave me something to look forward to during my work weeks. And the fact that I went every weekend, safe to say I became a regular and got to know the other regulars. In fact, I got to meet a couple who was really good friends with this organist. Knew him long before he moved out to Las Vegas. He was so amazing. Any song a customer asked to play or any request, he was able to play it. And not once did I ever hear him say, sorry, I don't know this song. Maybe he did, I don't remember it. For example, if I made a request, if he didn't know how to play it, it wouldn't have bothered me because I loved everything he played. And another amazing thing about this guy was he played an organ with about 7 rows of keys. It was built back in the 1920s. And he did not use a music sheet. And going back to the one in Fresno, all the organists were great. I enjoyed every one of them. However, I remember all of them using a music sheet for the songs they played, which is again common for not only organ players but piano players as well. This guy in Vegas, not only was he a great organist, better yet, he was one of the nicest guys I ever met. This whole year was going so merrily for me. I had something to look forward to with the upcoming weekends. However, toward the end of the year, all of us knew that this casino and hotel was up for sale. And the new owners were well known throughout Las Vegas area. In fact, they owned other casinos. But sadly, I'll never forget the organist, along with other customers and the employees, mentioned that the new owners were planning to take out the organ. So we were all so sad. This was right before he started one of his performances, right for the openings. So, to say the least, this was not one of my most enjoyable nights there. However, at the end, right after the last number was played on the organ, another customer approached me. I never seen her before. However, I'll never forget her saying, I notice you come here a lot. I said, oh, yes, I do. Then she mentioned that she wanted to start a petition to encourage other customers to voice their opinion. I thought, what a good idea. I figured it's possible if enough customers voice their liking or their want the organ to stay, maybe the new owners will reconsider. Not a guarantee. However, felt it was worth a try. So all the regulars, along with me, got people to sign petitions. I remember the night after, the organist, along with some of the other employees this place, encouraged customers to sign the petition. So it was the end of the weekend. So I left that night with a little ray of hope. I said, well, there might be a chance, but once again, no guarantees. However, the following weekend, I saw the organist. He did not look happy. So I approached him. I said, how's it going? He said, not good. Then he proceeded to say that he and all the other employees were not allowed to say anything about the petition. And I thought, oh, not a good sign. However, us regular customers proceeded with the petition. If I remember correctly, got about 1,500 signatures, plus some mentioned it on the comment cards. So I'm happy to say that a lot of people showed interest in keeping the organ. Sadly, despite all the signatures on the petition and the comments, yeah, the organ ended up being eventually taken out the following year. I think it was later toward the following year, if I remember correctly. So sadly, this organist we all love ended up moving back to Wisconsin. Well, for him, I considered a blessing in disguise because I found out that's where he played before he left for Las Vegas. And I heard they were so happy to have him back. And my first thought was, as much as I miss seeing him every weekend, I was so happy that he was playing at a place who appreciated him for who he was and gave him the respect that he deserved. In fact, that subject came up again later that year. One of the customers, he was the one that he and his wife were friends with the organist, hosted a potluck dinner for all us regulars, kind of share memories of how it was like listening to the organ music in Las Vegas every weekend. Sure enough, we talked to him from Wisconsin. So good to hear from him. He talked to all of us individually. And when I talked to him, he says, "Oh, I miss you." And I told him how much I missed him. However, my exact words to him was, "On the other hand, I'm glad you're working for a place who appreciates you for who you are and give you the respect that you deserve." Something like that. It's been a while ago. And I heard some really happy news for him later. He ended up buying a new house. But the best part was the previous owner who owned it had an organ in there. And I thought, aha. Right before he passed, he put on stipulation. I had it in writing, says whoever bought that house has to keep the organ there. A lot of prospective buyers weren't interested. So luckily he he found that house and he ended up buying it. So here's a perfect example. The disappointment for him in Las Vegas probably turned out to be a blessing in disguise for him. He was so I felt he was so badly treated in Vegas, or he didn't get the respect or appreciation he deserved. However, moving back to Wisconsin, I remember right going to a place where he was appreciated and plus buying a house with the organ. So overall, this gentleman came out smelling like a rose. I have not seen him in so long. However, I looked his name up on YouTube search window, and I'm happy to say that he's still playing. I remembered when he was still in Las Vegas, he had a 3-week engagement in Australia, which is a real compliment to his playing. So now I will move on to cats. My whole life, I have been a cat person. I've had a cat living with me one time or another throughout most of my life. I have fond memories of my first cat, George, at age 13. It started when Mom and I moved into a new house. Not even a week later, the next door neighbor approached me and said that he saw a stray gray and white kitten, asked if I'd be interested in having it. I thought, well, I don't remember what my answer was because we had a cat already. So Mom started talking to him. I don't know. I don't remember if I approached her or she overheard our conversation. So anyway, I do remember that Mom got involved and talked to him. Next thing I knew, we were having this little kid, and I thought, oh boy. And I'll never forget Mom saying to me, Arthur, this is your first cat. You name him whatever you want. So I picked George. I don't remember where the name came from. So anyway, George became his name. And one of my fond memories of him was he captured socks. For example, if I left my sock on the floor, he'd capture it. I'll never forget Mom and I laughing so hard, watching George walking around with the sock hanging out of his mouth. He did sock talk like this. I remember toward the latter years, he dropped it by my feet. I go, good George, good George. In Las Vegas, I had a cat named Cowboy. He was a gray and silver striped tabby with extra toes inside his front feet. If I remember right, the term for him was polydactyl. And the name Cowboy fit him perfectly because he walked bow legged. And I miss all the cats I've had throughout my life. Every one of them. However, the two I miss the most, George, which I just mentioned, and Drifter, who is a lovable 20-pound Siamese cat. And most of my Facebook friends would vouch for the fact that I love cats due to many postings I put on my Facebook page, such as pictures posted by others, and I share them. Some of my own cats, including my current one, Cinderella, who is mostly white with calico markings on her back, tail, and her face, black, orange, and of course, white. I visited animal shelters not only in Fresno, the no-kill ones, and out of town. I'll never forget a few years ago taking a road trip on the Oregon coast. One of the stops was Gold Beach, Oregon. And one day, it's a visit to the no-kill animal shelter. Had the most wonderful time visiting with all the cats. That made our trip, to say the least. In fact, I still remembered one of the cats' name, Gracie. She was a white cat, white as snow. And one of the hotels we stayed in had a cat in the lobby or hung around the motel. It was a black and white cat named Oreo, friendly cat. Got to pet him. See, that made our trip as well. I wear many cat shirts. Got several compliments. Then on my birthday or holidays, I've received a few items with cats, such as shirts, swimsuits, several other things with cat pictures. Even a neighborhood walk is not successful unless we find at least one cat and count how many cats. So, I often wondered how my life would have turned out if I took a career in working with cats many years ago. Well, despite my age, I guess it's not too late. One thing for sure, I will have an love and obsession for cats for the rest of my life. Am I ashamed of my obsession for cats? Absolutely not. It's a prime example of some obsessions are really good. Also, every now and then I see videos on YouTube with cats and programs on TV with certain cats. Sometimes I've seen cats, I think it's funniest animal videos, and sometimes there are cats on them. I don't, oh, every time I see that advertised, I'm almost turn on that TV and start watching it. So, does my love and obsession for cats make me the cat's meow? I'm going to leave that an open ended question. Now I will move on to Hawaii. My obsession started a few years back. I took two 15-night Hawaii cruises leaving San Francisco. I often think of all the Hawaiian ports. Many times I said to myself, oh, I wish I could afford to live in some of those areas. Not only in the ports, all the fun activities on the ship, on the way to Hawaii and back. In fact, I have another 15-night Hawaii cruise leaving San Francisco planned for this upcoming December. I can hardly wait. I often, or many times already, I've seen many YouTube videos on all the ports our ship's going to be docking at. And I wear many Hawaiian shirts. Here's one right here, along with other Hawaiian shirts. In fact, many gatherings within the last 2 years or year and a half, hosted by an autism mom, I've worn Hawaiian shirts. In fact, I looked at all the photos she posted. Sure enough, here I'm wearing a Hawaiian shirts. Because they give me that festive feeling. I'll never get tired of wearing Hawaiian shirts. Any shirts with tropical design, ever. And not only do I think of the port, which is the first one, which is Honolulu, we're going to be there 2 full days. So instead of spending the whole time in the city, we're planning trips around the island of Oahu, where Honolulu and Waikiki Beach is located. They offer many tours around the island with many attractions. Plus, there's also the option of using the city bus leaving Honolulu, which goes around the island for a much less expensive option. So, definitely looking into that. However, I've not the decision. However, definitely going to go check out many attractions around the island of Oahu. Not only that island, the other stops as well, Maui and the Big Island. Our last stop will be Kona on the Big Island. I'm so excited because I've never been there. Sure enough, I've already watched so many videos, virtual tours. Despite the fact the cruise is still 4 months away, I'm just super excited. You can bet that I'm going to keep watching YouTube videos, virtual tours of all the ports we're going to stop at. And along with our cruise ship that we're going to be on. So I want to say aloha to my friends from Hawaii and the ones I've met, or maybe going on the next Hawaii cruise in December. So maybe I will see you then. In review, I talked about the organ music, which I loved when I lived in Las Vegas. I went every weekend, and how sad I was when they finally took it out. My love and obsession for cats, which, and I know it'll be there with me for the rest of my life. And Hawaii, which started with the Hawaii cruises, thinking about the Hawaiian ports along with all the fun activities on the ship. I want to thank you for watching the video. I have a couple favors. If you like what you heard, please click like and the subscribe button. My next presentation will have me sharing my experiences with autism along with my perspective to autism parents who have concerns with their children starting a new school year, going to a new school or classroom, or starting a brand new routine. So I will see you then. Have a great day.